So hello everybody and welcome to Dallington. I can't express how lovely it is to finally have an open evening and to welcome you to our school, albeit virtually. As I said, I am the CEO and the proprietor of this wonderful school. I was a Dallington pupil in 1978. Back in the day, age 9, when the school was founded by my mum, Mog. And I've been involved in this school one way or another my whole life. I was a pupil. I think I probably painted every wall in the building in my summer holidays. I've been a teaching assistant, a teacher, the music teacher, the bursar, the administrator. I've had loads of roles in this school. I know it inside out and it absolutely runs through my veins. I love it. I really, really love this school, and I am completely committed to keeping this family school within the family so that it remains truly independent and truly unique. I'm also a mother to Eloise and Sunny, and they both come to Dallington. They are in years 6 and 4 respectively. And the great thing about this in doing my job is that it gives me the parent's perspective. So I am also one of you. And it means that as I do my work and I work with all my wonderful colleagues, that we can tweak things, I can rant about something and it gets fixed. And so I really enjoy that actually, because there's two sides to my life, but one informs the other. I'm also an actor and a musician, and I'm a singer-songwriter, and that's my trade. And my creativity fuels everything I do in life, so it really impacts on the way we run our school and we work together. Our school was founded on the strong principle that children should be listened to and included in their learning. Sounds completely obvious, but it doesn't actually happen in a lot of places. But we really, really do that here. And it also impacts on all aspects of the way we run our school, this founding ethos. We celebrate childhood. Every day, that's what we're doing. I believe Dallington children have a confidence. They are confident because they've been listened to. They've been valued, and their creativity and their individuality has been nurtured. It's been celebrated by our experienced and very, very loyal staff. Our children are encouraged to be autonomous, to be curious, to question the world around them, to question their teachers, to challenge, and then they are prepared to be challenged. This sets them up for secondary school, and it sets them up for life. Having been a pupil here, I really, really know that it works. So we're non-uniform. Everyone is on first name terms, and our children learn in an informal and an open plan environment like this, and it's the same on every floor, open plan, so the children are integrating with each other, different year groups mixing with other year groups. Everybody knows everybody. We're a small school, but we are a family. We're non-selective. We don't teach to test, we don't cram the children, we allow our children to develop at their own pace, naturally, as they should be allowed to do. We really, really value parental involvement, and we have a wonderful, strong parent community here. It's something that's often mentioned when people join our school. Excuse me. And our founder was an innovator, and our innovative approach continues in all aspects of the Dallington journey. Cross-curricular, we were one of the first schools to do it, and we do it with flair and with bells on. And Maria Blake will tell you a little bit more about that later. But in the meantime, I am delighted to introduce you to my very, very good friend Ambika. And Ambika heads our early years, and she's also the deputy head, and she's going to begin to tell you about life at Dallington and where it begins.
Thank you, Abi.
Pleasure.
Good evening, everyone. So my particular area of the school is the early years section, which includes the nursery. As Abi said, we're sitting in our lower nursery, which is a bright, open plan setting, and it's where most of your children will join us. We have a lovely team of highly experienced staff who absolutely understand what a big thing it is for your child and you to start nursery or school. So we work in partnership with you to learn about your child so we can best meet their needs. We have an open door policy throughout the school, so you're always welcome to come to us and share information in informal ways, but we also have regular termly parent-teacher meetings. We also love for you to come in and share any skills that you might have. In the past, we've had parents come in and read to the children in different languages, or lead a cookery session, play an instrument, any number of things. So forming bonds with families is very important to us. The early years, in pretty much every school in the country, delivers what is called the early years foundation stage, a broad programme that takes the very youngest children from literally toddling to becoming fairly self-propelled human beings with well-developed social skills and basic foundations that set them up for life. The early years foundation stage is usually called the EYFS, and whilst every school in the country works on the same core themes of child development, how they do it varies, and that's where an independent school will usually start to build an advantage over maintained primary schools. Here at Dallington, we give the very young children a particularly strong sense of independence, and the school's approach is one of really getting to know each child as an individual and building the education around them, not the other way round. That applies throughout the whole school, and by starting in nursery or reception, your child will benefit from a consistent educational philosophy all the way through to joining senior school. By the time they leave us, children from Dallington are the sort of children that are really well prepared for that transition to secondary school. So we follow the EYFS curriculum, but we have a broader approach than you will find in other schools. In lower nursery, the children begin their weekly performing arts sessions with David, who you'll hear from soon, and then this continues into upper nursery. The children in upper nursery are then also introduced to activities such as swimming, French and sport. We also cook once a week. Only today the children were making French patisseries with our wonderful French teacher Ramsey, so that looked delicious. We also start to use technology and develop ICT skills from a very early age, using iPads, programmable toys and computers. So the environment that we provide ensures that the children are stimulated and challenged, and it evolves and changes according to the children's needs and interests. We have a balance of both child-initiated activities and adult-led activities. And through observing the children whilst they're involved in these activities, we learn how your child learns. By this, I mean, do they concentrate well? Are they motivated and engaged, or persevere when they come across a problem? The team have a deep understanding of child development and really do know the children, and I think this is a real strength. Dallington very much encourages children to develop independence and confidence. This is a big part of the early years and continues through the school. As the children move through the school, they're ready to accelerate their progress, and our individualised approach means that children find their own strengths and interests. We encourage the children to have their own thoughts and opinions, so they question the world around them and they want to discover more. We want them to develop a love for learning, and because of this, they thrive and blossom. It's always a pleasure when the children we have taught return and they are well-rounded, confident and successful adults. And that's what we hope for. So thank you for listening. And I'm going to hand over now to Maria Blake, our head teacher, who will speak to you a little bit more about the rest of our school. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ambika, and good evening, and it's lovely that so many of you were able to join us. I honestly think, Ambika, you've pretty much said everything that I was going to say, and I'll just give you just a little bit of background. I've been in post. I've been head teacher of this wonderful school just for 2 years, and as we all know, 18 months of that has been in a pandemic, so it has been quite the ride. But I've you know, my career has taken me around the world, and I've worked in some of the best international schools out there, so I am very familiar with what an outstanding curriculum and education looks like. I've had the privilege of educating children who are really quite literally readying themselves to lead their countries and be captains of industry, and you know, to bring all of that experience and awareness to such a small and wonderful school like Dallington, you know, I can say with absolute confidence that the education at Dallington can stand the test, the international gold standard test. Just a little bit about myself, in case you're interested. I was born in Dublin to an Irish mother and a Kashmiri father, and I grew up in Singapore many years before the idea of a third culture kid was ever born. And so I enjoyed that. I went to but I came back to England, to university, and I started my teaching career in London before going overseas. And there I raised my 2 children, and I am now a very proud grandmother. And I think, you know, we all need to obviously understand that you're joining us this evening because you're looking for a school for your children. And it is a huge decision to make, and you're joining us at a time when the choice can seem, you know, overwhelming, and you know, some of the promises that are made can seem dazzling. I think what if I can give you some advice, it's that when you look at a school, any school, our school, any school, try to put your own ambitions to one side, as important as they are and as fabulous as they are. We're all parents. Try and picture your child in that setting. If you look at Ambika and Abi there, can you picture your child there with their personality and their interests? And you know, as hard as this is with a Zoom, and hopefully you will be able to join us in person, you have to really try and get a sense of the staff who are quite frankly going to spend a lot more time with your child than you are once they start school. Never be afraid to ask questions. That's absolutely huge. And I think what is so magical about Dallington is that the fact that it is small, as Abi and Ambika have said, we all know each other. We all know the parents, we obviously know the children, and the vibrancy of that dialogue, the impact that it has on the children, and the quality of their progress is really quite extraordinary. One thing I would like to touch on, you will have by now, I'm sure, explored our website and several other websites, and you will know that we absolutely pride ourselves, as Abi said, on celebrating childhood and offering every single child a child-centered education. And I do want to emphasize that a child-centered education is not a woo-woo concept where children just roll around doing whatever they want. Absolutely not. It means that in every aspect of the planning and delivery of our curriculum, the child is at the center. What do we want these children as they start in lower nursery and make their way through the curriculum and through the school onward to secondary school? What do we want them to experience? What skills do we want them to develop? What knowledge and qualities do we consider essential for the Dallington child to take into the world? And that is the child-centered education. And it's very important to understand that a child-centered education is in no way in conflict with very high academic standards. It simply means that you've got an extremely skilled staff with small classes who are constantly reflecting on their practice and taking all of the opportunities that being in such a vibrant city like this offers, and they're constantly feeding it into your child's experience and listening to the children and following their interests, and ensuring those outcomes that we all want for our children. I mean, of course we do. And I think also, again, I speak from my experience, what is really very unique and very special about Dallington is it is not a slogan or marketing to say that every child is unique and celebrated and important. They really are. They are not little packets of data moving through the school in their sweet little uniforms, completely anxious about their performance being measured and God forbid found wanting. They are individuals and they know that they are loved and they're being nurtured. Their voice is important. You know, student voice is really a buzzword right now, but student voice has been central to our mission and our curriculum since 1978. So, you know, it really is, and it is so important. And as Ambika said so beautifully, you really see it when the children who have left us come back, and they want to come back. That's the big thing. They want to come back. They want to share what they're doing, whether they're at secondary school or university. And they obviously at their age are able to really reflect and compare their Dallington experience with the peers that they're meeting at secondary school or beyond, and really acknowledge the start that they were given. I think that's huge. And I think it's also worth noting that two of our newest governors are also ex-pupils out there in the big wide world, with very high-flying careers, I have to say, and yet the grounding that they got at Dallington has brought them full circle, and you know that they are committing themselves to our future and the future generations, and indeed your children. So what can I say? Well, I'll say one more thing, and it's actually really important. Everything that Ambika described about the early years and the exploration and nurturing the curiosity, it is the nature of nursery and early years education. But in a lot of schools, it stops there. They have this gorgeous, you know, vibrant start and then the structure kicks in, and as Ambika put it so well, the child is expected to fit into the education rather than the education evolving around the child. And that doesn't happen here. It continues to evolve. That vibrancy and that curiosity and nurturing, that absolute awe and wonder continues all the way through. So I'm delighted to hand over in a moment to Victoria, who is our head of English, who followed by David, our head of performing arts, and they will give you a greater insight into those two very specific areas. And obviously I look forward to answering your questions later on. So over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Maria. Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria and I am the Literacy Coordinator for Dallington. I also currently teach Year 4. A little bit about me. I've been teaching for about 7 years. Most of my career has been spent at a previous outstanding state school in Finsbury Park, before deciding to dip my toes into the independent sector last year. And I'm so glad that I did. Despite joining in the midst of a global pandemic, I was made to feel extremely welcome and was given the flexibility to plan creatively and think outside of the box, something that Dallington is really famous for. My background is in phonics and early reading, and I've brought this extensive knowledge to the Dallington team. My role at Dallington has been to develop and drive the literacy curriculum around core class texts that are linked to the topic of study for that particular year group. Whether it's an engaging, laugh out loud picture book like Dear Dinosaur in Year 1 as part of their Jurassic Park topic, to more classic tales such as Stick of the Dump as part of Year 3's The Stone Age, or the Just So stories as part of Year 4's Amazing Animals topic, one of my favourites. We feel that children learn key literacy skills through the eyes of an engaging book. And together with the team, we've mapped out a diverse, intriguing literacy curriculum to be proud of. Reading for pleasure is taught and is at the core of all Dallington children because it's promoted in every part of what we do. We have a beautiful library, which I'm hoping you'll be able to see in person, and the classes have individual library monitors to make sure this is kept on top of. This was an idea that came from the children themselves, much like lots of the ideas at Dallington. We have also recently had story writing and illustration workshops from key authors, such as Caroline Lawrence, who wrote the very successful Roman Mysteries, and Corky Paul, who is the fantastic illustrator of the Winnie the Witch series, which I loved when I was a child. It's been wonderful seeing all the children engage with these authors whose works they're fans of and have actually studied at depth, something that doesn't always happen at other schools. There really is no other school I've come across like Dallington. It really is truly unique and child-centred. Come into any lesson and you'll see inquisitive children asking questions and debating with their peers. Because the focus is entirely on the children, they are consequently very happy and make excellent progress. They're well prepared to go on to further top schools as they develop their education. As teachers, we're trusted to get on with our jobs and inspire passion about the things we are passionate about. There is such a wealth of talent in the Dallington team, from artists to scientists, and between us, you have a unique and inspiring school to be proud of. So it's with absolute pleasure that I introduce the Head of Performing Arts, David.
Thank you, Victoria.
Hi, everyone. My name's David. Well, how can I follow all of that? All of my wonderful colleagues have said everything that I would have said, but I have a lot to tell you about our Performing Arts department. It is a privilege to lead this department at Dallington. It is so vibrant. Never is there's a day at Dallington where the basement is not full of music and sound, and Caroline comes out and Maria, they come out from whatever they're doing and we're dancing and singing together. So it's really vibrant. It's a department that really encourages every child to freely express themselves and develop their individual artistic skills and abilities in a really warm, friendly, inclusive environment. And I just love it. A little bit about me. I'm Australian. I've been in the UK since 2013. After my initial teacher training in Sydney, I taught for a couple of years as a music teacher, then went off and did postgraduate study, and then found myself singing opera for the past 12 years, from places from the Sydney Opera House for 2 years to the Royal Opera House here in Covent Garden, Glyndebourne, English National Opera, all these amazing places, concert halls in Vienna and France. And now I'm at home at Dallington, and I bring all of that love of singing to Dallington. Your children will see me 2 to 3 times per week at Dallington, starting with middle school, which is years 3 to year 6. They see me for a music lesson, a dance lesson, and a drama lesson every week. Transition, which is years 1 and 2, also see me 3 times a week for a music lesson, a dance, and a drama lesson, all linked to the topic-based curriculum. Lower nursery see me once a week for a music session, and then upper nursery see me twice a week for dance and a music session. As Maria said, we do follow the national curriculum, but we go far beyond that, and we make sure that there is a really clear progression of skill as the children move throughout the key stages. We really pride ourselves in giving the children real life experiences, and I really find that children really learn through shared experience. And it's such a privilege to bring in some of my most creative colleagues from the arts community in London. And in my time, we've had opera singers giving singing workshops. We've had Shakespearean language workshops. We've had dance workshops with choreographers from the West End. We've had script writing workshops from directors from the Royal Opera House. We've had a sitar player. This week, we have a circus skills teacher coming on Friday. So the children get to experience a wealth and a variety of styles and develop an appreciation. We have many different clubs that your children can join at Dallington, and a few of those are Kadai, music theory. We have a choir, an orchestra, dance and acting clubs. And most of these clubs continued during the lockdown. We found creative ways to continue those clubs through the digital hub. We have 2 amazing peripatetic music teachers, one teacher who teaches piano, another who teaches guitar, and they give the children their lessons after school at the moment. We also embedded into our curriculum is lots of instrumental learning. The children learn ukuleles, they learn recorder, tuned and untuned percussion, and we place a lot of importance on singing to develop their confidence and self-esteem. There are so many performance opportunities throughout the year at Dallington, from large-scale productions at Christmas and the summer extravaganzas we have, where every child is featured, to more intimate affairs and recitals where we sometimes hire out external venues and really showcase children with extra special talents. I think that's everything. It's a really vibrant place to work. I feel like with where I'm at with my career, I'm at home now. It's a wonderful school, and your children will be really happy with Dallington. So I'm going to pass back to Abi.
Thank you, David. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thanks so much. And thank you, everybody, for listening so intently. I'm going to just say a word about admissions. I guess you might have questions to follow, but essentially we are a non-selective school, as we've already mentioned. We work on a first-come, first-served basis, and we advise you to register promptly. So if you like what you hear and you haven't registered your child yet, then please do, and then Maria Louisa, our wonderful registrar, will take care of the rest. As I said, we will be offering some tours, so inviting people into the building at 4 o'clock, now that restrictions are a little more relaxed. So if you were interested in coming to take a look around, then please get in touch with Caroline in the office, and she can book you in for a one family tour. And on the 23rd of June, we're going to have another open evening, but that's actually going to be in school, all being well. And those are great because it's all of this, but with booze. So it's so much easier for everybody. So it'd be lovely if you joined us for that. So we'll be doing that. And anything else to say? I think that could be it. So we would absolutely welcome your questions if you have any, and Caroline is going to chair the Q&A.
Hi.
So thank you.
Thank you, Abi. I have a question here from, I'm sorry, I'm going to call you iPhone. I haven't got your name here, but they'd like to know they have a son with Down syndrome, and what is the provision available for him?
I can answer that, Caroline. It will depend entirely upon your child's needs. You know, as Abi said, we're inclusive and we welcome diversity. And so if you want to make an application, we absolutely invite that. That will obviously be a dialogue with yourself, depends on, as I say, your child's individual needs and their age, and we'll be happy to discuss that with you. Did you want to add anything, Ambika?
No, I think that's you know how we approach it. Everybody is. We'd speak to you individually. I think if you wanted to make an appointment, we can have a Zoom chat and talk through those you know, your child, if that works for you. Yeah.
And I should add as well, actually, on the admissions spiel that I forgot to say. So children can join us a term after which they turn 3, and so that means they can join in the autumn, in the spring, or the summer. So gradually in the nursery, in the lower nursery, then that year group will build throughout that first year of that group. It grows. And if children join us not in the nursery, so what we would call an occasional place from years 1 to 6, then what we would do is we would invite your child to come and spend the day. So depending on the previous questions, the age of your child, then it may well be that there's a discussion about the kind of support that your child might need. And if they're of that age that they need to come and spend the day, then that's what we would invite you and them to do. And at the end of that day, then we have a chat about how things went.
Can I just follow on with that question? It's Alexandra, and she was just wondering if her child would be included in the mainstream class, and she would love to have a Zoom with us, and her child's in year 3 at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, Alexandra, we are an inclusive mainstream school, so all of our children learn together. So Caroline and Maria Louisa will have taken note of your contact details, and we'll absolutely arrange a Zoom in the coming days with myself and Ambika.
So Rachel, can you share how maths is approached?
I can, of course. So our maths curriculum is based very much around the national curriculum and those outcomes that are, you know, it's on the easily found. If you are, for example, I don't know, Rachel, if you're coming from overseas and you're not familiar with the curriculum, and it very much evolves from the early years, and we place a lot of emphasis on the skills development and the use of concrete materials, aiming for mastery of concepts. And it's very much a spiral curriculum, so you're constantly, as you know, a child goes from one year to the next, they're revisiting and extending the concepts, and the teacher will obviously be very familiar with your child's strengths and, you know, needs, whether they need support or whether they're able to fly. No child is constrained. So they spiral through the maths curriculum according to their strengths and their abilities alongside their peers.
David, this is a question for you from Willow and Auburn. They're really interested that we use the Kodály method for music. Is your instrumental tuition also based on these principles?
Yes, definitely. Before I started at Dallington, there was a really strong tradition of the children always learning the Kagai method and the Orff method. So that has been embedded into the curriculum. Every instrument we learn, if it's recorder, piano, the children are very much aware of the intervallic relationship between notes. So I really encourage sight singing and sight reading a lot, and introducing them to reading notes from a very young age. And we're constantly doing hand signs and things like that. Yeah, so it's very much embedded into the curriculum. That's the way I learned too, and it's the best way to develop your oral awareness from a young age.
Thank you, David. From Seville, what is our approach to the sciences, maths, physics, natural science, etc.?
Well, again, our science curriculum, I think, unless you want to, so you're asking something specific about maths, our science curriculum is also based around the national curriculum, but very much extended and developed by our wonderful head of science, who is really quite a passionate scientist. So it's a very thematic approach. So the children study topic-based science. It's very investigative, and we try and incorporate, as I've said before, all of the opportunities that we have in London for outdoor learning and off-site learning to really embed the scientific understanding and the knowledge and the opportunity to apply those skills.
It's a great question to follow on from that from Rafi Amin. There seems a real push in forest schooling and children spending time and learning outdoors through interacting with the environment. This can be very difficult living in the city. Do the children get to spend time outdoors as part of their learning curriculum?
They absolutely do. I'll jump in there, and I'm sure you want to jump in as well, Ambika. The outdoor learning program starts right from the beginning, and our very youngest children are out every week in the environment. They take their learning there, they learn to interact with the environment and obviously respect it, and that links with their sustainability curriculum. And as the children get older, you know, that continues. It often intersects with their science. So when they are, you know, studying a unit in science that is very much botanical, for example, they will be in the field, as it were, a lot. And our outdoor learning program, which has been so, you know, suspended by this pandemic, we were really building up some serious momentum, and it was having such a positive impact. And then, okay, we went into lockdown. But our outdoor learning isn't just off-site, but it's also residential. And we are aiming, once we are able to resurrect that children from year 2 onwards will be staying overnight in various settings, sometimes camping, sometimes in purpose-built outdoor learning centres, you know, building those extremely important and very unique skills that you just can't do in the classroom. It's absolutely central to our curriculum, and we've really missed it.
This one's from Christine, and she's wondering if you support out of year placement. Her son has a late August birthday and began schooling a year later than is typical. Would he be able to join the same year he is currently in?
Shall I answer that, Ambika? I don't know.
Go ahead, Maria. It's we have done that before in the past. It definitely does depend on the individual child, and we you know, again, we talked to you about, you know, why you feel that would be a better cohort or year group, and it works for some children. It's not there are many different theories around that, so we'd probably have a chat about that. Anything else, Maria, you wanted to add to that?
No, I think that's it. It's you know, we as Ambika said, we do get applications that are out of year, as you say, and then it becomes a very individual discussion. One thing that you do need to be aware of is that even if you have a child who is out of year and coping very well, as they move from primary school to secondary school, you have to be aware of the impact of the changes if that transition, if they are a year younger than their cohort or a year older than their cohort. And also, if you were to, quite happily finish the educational journey in Dallington, and then you may go overseas into a state system or into a state system here, you may find that your child is required to rejoin their chronological cohort, if that makes sense. So part of our individual discussion with you will be also taking a longer term view, as well as looking at your child's experience as it is right now. I hope that makes sense, but absolutely that would be an individual meeting that we're more than happy to have.
Okay, so we have one from Willow and Alban. How do you manage different learning profiles, e.g. SEN, EHCPs within the same cohort?
Well, it's something that we're very experienced. Hello, Willow and Alban again. Lovely to see you. Obviously we've talked about that in some depth. It's, Dallington is a very inclusive environment, and with our small classes, every child can be treated as an individual, and the staff get to know the children extremely well. So all of those needs can be met, and when a child has an individual learning program or indeed an EHCP, then that is obviously taken into account as the class teacher plans the overall program and then the individual program and how that weaves through, so that the child is completely integrated into their mainstream class, but whatever specific individual needs can be met in whatever is the most appropriate way.
Good answer, I reckon.
Okay, is there any more?
That's it.
That's it, Emma, yeah.
Okay, is that fine? Is everybody happy to leave it there with their questions? If you think of anything afterwards, then of course, just please get in touch and just email us, and we'll be right back at you. That was good, wasn't it? I enjoyed it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending. As I said, the 23rd of June is an open evening here. With booze and more staff actually, so that's always a great cracking event, though I say it myself. And so we would love to see you again, and I'll just remind you that early registration is advised, and we look forward to seeing you again, and we would love to welcome you to our lovely school. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.